Hello and good evening. Welcome to Follow Everton. This is the match preview for Everton's clash yet again at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, this time against Crystal Palace. And joining me to analyse with all of his tactical nous and intelligence, we have the one and only Corey. Corey, has this match come too soon for Everton? Another trip to the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Would we have preferred a little break?
I don't think so, It might be because I've actually got a ticket and I'm going to this one, so I'm a bit more eager. But I think the more games we get there, the more we get into it. I think there's a lot of people talking about the atmosphere at the stadium. So hopefully the more we play, the more people get used to it, the quicker we can just get into that role, you know what I mean? And our record at the stadium's not bad at all. We've not been defeated. Our only 2 clean sheets of the season has come at the new stadium. I think what we've come up against where they've been disappointing games, Villa and West Ham, has been teams who just want to sit back and defend the box as much as possible, catch us on the break, especially West Ham in terms of the catching us on the break. And we've always struggled with that. Even with Grealish and Dewsbury Hall, we're still struggling a little bit with that. So I think that's just what we come up against. And I think Palace, although probably the most informed team in the whole division, I think the way they play may benefit us. They're not a team that has all the ball. I'll probably go through that a little bit when I go through the stat pack later. But they are a team who likes to play in the transitions. So they won't just sit back. They want to put the press on you. If we can break the press or if we can counter press, basically reverse the transition on them, there's a good chance of us scoring. Whereas West Ham, especially under Nuno coming in wanting to get the basics right, were the kind of team who were just going to sit back, and that was what frustrated us. So I think there's actually potentially going to be more opportunity for us against Palace just because of the way the teams play.
I'm not sure I agree with you, Corey, because I actually think West Ham did try and play. I don't think they turned up just to stifle us. I think they did try and play. They tried to utilise the wingers. Somerville was very, very good for them. Jared Bowen came into his own with the goal, and the striker Fulkrug was a handful. They were trying to make things happen. I have seen teams come in the past to Everton and sit behind the ball and try and soak up pressure. I don't think they were quite there. I actually don't agree with you on the Crystal Palace situation as well, because I think we want to play a team maybe at the moment that will... No, your opinions are important here, because this is we see things differently. I know we agree on a lot, but a team that might actually turn up to Hill Dickinson and try and play with the ball, maybe force Everton to play a little bit deeper, and actually for us to try and counterattack and use that space where Grealish can expose 1v1, where Better may find more luck in behind a high line, rather than having to fight his way past perhaps a Crystal Palace team, which may also play reasonably low block, wait for Everton to make a load of mistakes, and use Sarr and Mateta on the counter-attack to really cause us problems. So, Corey, I'm not quite sure I agree with that, in fairness.
Well, it looks perfectly fine. I'm still very much concerned about Palace. The quality they've got, they've got quality in areas that can really, really hurt us. I just believe where we've struggled against, where we've been frustrated against teams, I think we may have potentially the opportunity to counter-attack a little bit more than what we would have done previously. I still think there's a crest of positivity, mainly within the squad. I know the fans are a little bit frustrated. It's been a very, very frustrated week, and I think that's the key word I'd use. I don't think fans are upset or angry. They're frustrated, especially because they can see in the past few games what we should have done better, and it's probably maybe not quite obvious, but it's there to see. So very much in hindsight, it's massive missed opportunities. So I think it's more frustration. So I think if we can get behind the lads, I think if there's a decent atmosphere there that can really lift us, then I think the opportunity is definitely there. I said this in the post-match of West Ham, but I definitely think there's an opportunity there, although I am very, very worried about a lot of their players that they've got, because they've got players that really can harm us.
I have to be honest with you, I'm not too happy with Everton's start of the season overall. I know people are saying, look at where we've came from and look where we are. We're 9th in the league, but I also think the fixtures we've had, and I was at Leeds, I thought it was a horrendous performance from Everton. Although we did get robbed, we didn't do anything to deserve any sort of thing out the game. We scraped past the Brighton team that were the better team on the day, and we got the win that I think we needed to kickstart our season. And of course, the Wolves match, but still managed to concede 2 goals against a team which lost 5 in a row. And then we had Aston Villa, and we did create some chances, but we didn't take them, and we didn't finish well. Instead of hitting the ball low into the corner, we were heading it high for Martinez and making it easy for him to make his outstanding saves. And then, of course, all falling apart at Anfield with the way we set up, with the negative approach, the long balls straight to the goalkeeper of Alisson, and not getting going. Of course, following that up with the performance at Wolves, which I also went to, completely disgraceful. And then the home fixture in the last match against West Ham, where, quite frankly, we never had that many chances and we never looked like scoring. There's a few things that are bothering me at the moment. Regarding the new stadium, obviously the atmosphere at the moment isn't quite there. I think it is very flat. It is quite expectant. And I think you have to rely on the intensity and quality of the players to get people on their seats. And I think everyone then will buy in, and you'll see more intensity within the fans and the crowd if it's matched on the pitch. That's the first thing. Secondly, there's been a lot of complaints about queuing in and around the stadium, having to wait for a long time to get into the ground, get into the stadium for your post-match, for your halftime pint. A lot of things around the ground, the transport, the parking, the accessibility, that is putting people off. So I think the football has to improve, because we cannot go 4 games at this glorious new stadium, which, don't get me wrong, a beautiful work of art, beautiful architecture. The pitch is like the most perfect snooker pitch you've ever found. It's so green and smooth. It's just absolutely beautiful. But at the same time, the football's got to get better. The results have got to get better. And for me, it all comes down to scoring goals. Now, tactically, how do we improve that? Well, we lost the best elements of our goal scoring, because what we've done is we've isolated every striker, Beto or Barry, and left him on his own. Why? Because Alcaraz, who was the link player, the player very good on the turnover with his speed in transition, has been taken out the team and replaced with Dewsbury Hall. Now, don't get me wrong, Corey. Dewsbury Hall is a talented footballer, great in the build-up, knitting play, helping Everton get up the pitch. But when he spends most of his time on the left channel supporting Jack Grealish, I think that leaves the striker very isolated and leaves us short of numbers in the box. Now, to add further insult to injury, and Dye, who's not a natural on the right, would want to cut inside. Jake O'Brien would then have to push forward to offer something down the right. But as you saw against West Ham, if you're playing against a good team with good wingers and good fullbacks, you get done in behind. So Everton have got a real problem tactically to try and solve that. I don't know how we will. Also, the other thing for our viewers, Jared Branthwaite is apparently back with the group. He needs to come back in the team, but that means you're taking out Michael Keane, who's done virtually nothing wrong, purely because it allows you a little bit more speed, a little bit more ability on the ball. And I think the distribution, we saw the way we tried to progress it against West Ham. It was really bad. You've got disconnected players. You've got players who are disjointed, who can't cover the ground, wingers who are playing with their back to goal and being isolated, and strikers, as I said before, who are completely on their own, having to do too much and being used as a battling ram rather than an actual goal threat.
Yes, I completely agree. The Dewsbury Hall thing, definitely. I've said it before. He's a central midfielder. He's all action. He can play a lot of positions. But in order, he's a number 8, he's a number 10, and he's a number 6 in that order. But he's a number 8 way more before he's a number 10. He wants to progress the ball. He wants to run with the ball. Yeah, he makes them runs forward, but he also goes wide, like we've seen there. He does the overlap, the underlap for Grealish. Got us a couple of goals early on. But once teams wise up to that, all they need to do is defend that 6-yard box, 3 defenders in a straight line. There's no number 10 to take an extra player on. So Beto and Barry are stuck trying to deal with 2, 3, 4 defenders in the box. It's got to beat 3 of them before it gets to anyone. So that is the first thing. This game on Sunday is going to maybe... What happens in football is, obviously, managers are set with what they've got and they're happy and they won't move from it, especially pragmatic managers like Moyes. But sometimes when you're forced into something like this, that's when you stumble on your goal dust. So, for example, Dewsbury Hall not being on, it's not a positive.
But he can't leave him out. He wouldn't leave him out if he was fit, because he's his favourite player.
That's it. But then maybe we realise that Garner and Gay both don't need to start the game, or you don't need to play every single game. I understand he's pragmatic. So if he wants to start off with 2 holder midfielders, get a foot on in the game, because the only game we've played only 2 games we've played where we've not got a footing in the game. It was Leeds, which is the first game of the season, missed a lot of players, and also the derby, which Moyes got completely wrong. That was on him as opposed to the team. But if you want to start with 2 holding midfielders, get a foothold in the game, that is perfectly fine. But 55, 60-minute mark, if we're struggling to break teams down, if they're playing deep, we're struggling to break them down, then bring Dewsbury Hall back. He's a number 8 more than he's a number 10. I'll reiterate that point till I'm blue in the face.
But the problem is, I know what you're saying. Dewsbury Hall in the midfield alongside a defensive midfielder. Maybe you can then put Jack Grealish in the 10 and Ndiaye on the left where he's natural. I think that causes problems. Ndiaye doesn't create. Okay, let's establish he scores. He doesn't create anything. Grealish doesn't like to drift to the right. He'll always drift over to the left. Maybe the two of them will interchange, which is okay. Because Ndiaye was a number 10. He was never even a winger in the first place. What do you do on the right-hand side? Then Dwight McNeil was the top goal scorer, top assister last season for us when fit. He's one-paced, one-legged. But his stats tell me that he's productive. Dewsbury Hall in the number 8, which is what you're saying. But then alongside who? Garner can't run. Idrissa Gana Gueye can't run. He's 36. It's a big pitch. I know people saying this, but it pitched up massive in the last match. And when you've got players who can run, like Sarr, like Mateta, like Pino, Grigio, they've got players. They've got players who can cause us problems. Now, I also think Adam Wharton in midfield, they've got a player who can pass, thread the passes, and we're going to get absolutely bullied in that midfield. I think our midfield too is weak. I think Idrissa Gana Gueye hasn't been good this season. James Garner has been good, but then there are times you need more. Corey, we talked about the goal scoring. Jack Grealish hasn't scored a goal this season. Dwight McNeil hasn't scored a goal. In the league, Carlos Alcaraz hasn't scored a goal. Beto has scored once. Barry has scored nothing. Dewsbury Hall scored once. Let's have some accountability for the entire team. They don't score goals. And this is what I don't understand. David Moyes would have known Jack Grealish doesn't score goals. He doesn't have a history of scoring a lot of goals. You sign him, you've put him in the position where the one fucking player who can score, Iliman Ndiaye, you've moved him and put him on the right where he's not natural, he's lost. And honestly, it's baffling. You've got to try and get them to shoot more. Grealish has got to shoot more.
I think. Hello, Luke. I think, in all honesty, I would bring Grealish and Ndiaye closer together. I was going to get onto this point a little bit later, but Ndiaye on the right isn't working. He's doing okay. He's still taking players on, but when he's taking players on and he's on his left foot, he's nowhere near as strong or as dangerous as when he's on his right foot.
He's not going past PLAs for fun anymore.
He wants to come inside. And what I noticed in the build-up to the goal is Ndiaye was getting more and more frustrated because the ball kept going to the left because most of the play goes through Grealish. He kept going more and more to the middle to the point where he was playing a number 10. So if he plays that number 10 role or left and Grealish swap, I'd be happy with that.
Fine if you've got a right back who is absolutely unbelievable and could cover up and down the pitch. But Coleman in his prime, for example. But not fine if you've got no right backs.
But what is also what was the issue is he had some protection in the first half when he was playing on the right, cutting in a little bit. But in the second half, he was just drifting more and more to the middle to the point where that whole left flank was empty. So then once they put 2 men on O'Brien, should have done better. But they've got all that space to attack down. They get the confidence. You don't need to think twice about it. Just having someone who is a right midfielder in the right position. I know Ndiaye will play for Senegal sometimes, but having someone who plays that position and they want to stay out wide right as much as possible, i.e. Tyler Dibblin, potentially McNeil, but for me, I'd go with Tyler Dibblin. He's the one we spent the money on. He's the one that looks like Moyes likes. And for the limited amount I've seen from him, he looks like he's got something about him. He can dribble the ball. He can keep the ball. So if Moyes had took Ndiaye off much earlier or took anyone off and put Dibblin on the right-hand side, that goal doesn't happen because they don't have that space. Juve doesn't think that he can maraud forward as much as he can do. And O'Brien isn't isolated. He was completely isolated there. And it's because Ndiaye drifted in. Moyes should have. You could see it on the TV. I was screaming at the television, saying like, "You need to get someone on that right hand side." Dibblin should have come on much earlier. Just things like balance. Doesn't need to be a defensive player. Just something like that. I believe would have stopped that goal happening. Would have made West Ham think twice and not have as much success down that left wing. So I think that's one thing we need to do is add that balance there.
Yeah.
I think Njai needs to move further central, whether he's on the left or the centre spot. Njai in Grealish in the other position, and we work around that. If Moyes wants to do the thing where he says, "Okay, we have the two holding midfielders, Garner and Gay, and we get the foothold of the game," but then if it's not working, bring Dewsbury Hall back. You said about the legs. One thing Dewsbury Hall has got,
In fairness, Corey,
but he's got energy, and he
in
can play.
fairness, Corey, we probably shouldn't talk about Dewsbury Hall anymore because he's not in this next match.
Yeah.
But we've got potentially, you'd like to think Merlin Roll will come back in. He's a player who's got a bit more physical presence in there.
But yeah,
I don't really know what the answer is because part of me wants Alcaraz to play. Part of me wants Dibbling to play. I can't drop Njai. I can't drop Grealish. I can't really drop Dewsbury Hall. I'm looking at it and thinking, is it more tactical than personnel? I can't play them all. I need to think about what's the best. So what's going to happen in an away game? Well, if we were playing an away game against Crystal Palace, I'd be saying Alcaraz and Beto for the counterattacks. Grealish and Njai on the wing. That's fine. A home game where we've got players, everyone behind the ball, potentially, and we're going to need to be very good winning the ball back. I'm thinking I need my ball winners. I need players who can break a low block, who can play between the lines, Dibbling, for example. I'm not so fussed for someone a bit raw like Alcaraz in that sort of game. But so I am struggling in this match. Part of the problem, and some of our great viewers are saying, Grealish, 17 chances created in the Premier League, only 2 for our strikers. I believe Kieran Dewsbury Hall was 13 chances created this season in the Premier League. So he's in the top 4 chance. So we're creating some chances. I don't know whether Jack Grealish's chances are just pullbacks to James Garner all the time. And maybe we need a little bit more delivery into the box. But what I've noticed, Corey, also what I talked to you about before, and I despised Abdoulaye Doucouré. I think he's a gobshite. I really do. And he was terrible for us. But and that's all because of the contract fiasco where he said he was about the money and everything. And I thought his attitude was really poor. We have lost the physical presence who was able to get back into the box and support Beto. Beto is now isolated. So the ball is coming. You're looking at when to cross and you're looking at it and you're going, there's literally one guy there being marked by 2 people. And Beto, for some reason, is standing, tussling with the defender rather than peeling off or making a run or darting away or getting to the back post on a smaller fullback. Tactically, this is just crazy, insanity. Get on the smallest man at the back post and whip it to the back post. Stop having him in the centre jostling with no one. And why are we not getting anyone in there? It's because you've lost your Doucouré, you've replaced him with Dewsbury Hall, and Dewsbury Hall is allergic to crossing. Is getting into the same positions. That's a bit harsh on Kiernan, to be fair. He's a top player, but you know what I'm saying? We've lost. I don't know why we're so negative. We're not getting bodies in the box.
Again, I think it's a lot of it stems from Dewsbury Hall playing the 10 role because, again, I'm reiterating the point that he's a number 8. He isn't the kind of player who wants to get close.
He's not playing the 10. He's not playing the 10, Corey, is he? That's why he's not getting in those positions. He's playing the 8. He's like an 8.
He's like in between the 2, yeah. So, and he's constantly drifting left, which allows Grealish to come in. It's created chances for us, but we've seen against West Ham, we created that same opportunity 3 or 4 times, tried to put the ball in the box, and every time they defended it because they know what's coming. We need to be a bit more. We need to be able to change things up, and that's where I think Dewsbury Hall needs to play because he can do the same thing just from a little bit deeper. And if you have someone in the number 10, whether it's Grealish, whether it's Ndai, whether it's Alcaraz, they are going to put a lot more, like you said, a lot more pressure on that back line. They're not just thinking of Beto, they're thinking of what Alcaraz going to do. And it allows us to do something different because it basically means that Alcaraz is always going to try and get close to the striker, get the ball, pass it off. He wants to get rid of the ball quite quickly. He can drift that wide. Having players that can change positions can make defenders think more and more is the issue. And no one is in, like you said, no one is in that box with Beto. One thing I thought I don't think it's a possibility, but one thing I was thinking about was Tieno Barry and Beto on the pitch at the same time, but not as a 4-4-2. A 4-3-3. Him playing wide right, mainly for like a team like Palace. So they play a back 3. Yeah. Chris Richards on the right centre back, probably the most easiest player to get at. Lacroix is their most physical in the centre. And Mark Gay, he was their best centre back. He's a fantastic centre back.
Yeah.
But he's not tall. He's not a big lad. Tyrick Mitchell, who plays left wing back, is even smaller than him. I think he's even smaller than me, and that says something. So, could you potentially put him on the back post? You could use him as a wide target man, bring other players in. When we're under the cosh, it's an out ball. When we need to deliver the ball into the back post, it's something that we could potentially use. With Grealish's delivery, he gets half a yard and whip that ball in. That defence is suddenly having to think, I've not just got one man to think about, I've got another big man in the box, even though he's not taking up a 4-4-2. The lad can dribble. Every time he gets the ball, he seems to go out wide anyway. And I don't think he's rapid, but that is also another possibility. I don't think Moyes would do it, by the way, but I was just spitballing as a certain opportunity to just try and prey on a team's perceived weakness. They've not got physicality and height on that left-hand side of the defence.
I need to jump in and ask you a question.
Yeah.
When we did our transfer targets video, you gave me a list of strikers. You mentioned Walter Marder, who's gone to Newcastle, who I think will be a brilliant player for them.
Yeah.
And you can see exactly why. I feel like we should have sold Beto back to Italy in the summer for his peak price, not signed Barry and signed a top player. You look at how much they cost, 60 to 70 million. We were not far off with the combined sale and the non-signing of Barry. Walter Marder, we could have got him for 60 million. I think if we'd have bid that early, or 70 million. Hugo Ekitike was never coming here with Liverpool's interest, but that's the level. He is a brilliant striker because he's so dynamic and he's physical and he's technically solid. We've got strikers that don't look technical, but you gave me the list because you watch a lot of football. You are Corey Romano. Can you tell me, what is the Barry good at? Why have we signed this boy? Because he looks like a baby Isaac who can't drop a bag of cement. Every touch is a tackle. He's 6'4", but jumps 5'3". Doesn't look like scoring. Every time he runs in behind, he gets caught up. Doesn't have any skill. What are we looking at, man? Come on, give me something. He's nearly 23. I'm not using the kid excuse.
So just to go back to just looking back at that at the show that we did, I said the three main number 9s available and probably the most attractive options were Walter Marder, Emmanuel Omega, who's at Strasbourg, who's going to do a dodgy deal all the way through to Chelsea, and Tieno Barry. They were probably the three most obvious players because we were always going to get someone who was a bit bigger and a bit more physical. It was always going to be the case. I said number 1 was Walter Marder. The reason I wanted him, if we could afford him, I thought he'd have gone for like 55 million, which we probably could have afforded without selling Barry. To be honest, I think we could have done that. However, I just think we got completely priced out at that point. I think everyone was just getting told he's not going for anything less than such and such a price, and it wasn't until late on they probably went for that because his stock was so high. He was number 1 mainly because his quality, but also he's a different kind of player to Beto. Number 2 would have been Emmanuel Omega. And then number 3 would have been Tieno Barry. The reason Omega would have chosen him as first is because he's got a lot more pace than Tieno Barry. And again, Beto, Omega, and Barry, all fairly similar in that they are solo strikers, big number 9s. They've got pace, they've got physicality, and all 3 of them will want to run the channel. Okay, Omega to me is probably a little bit more prolific. He's probably a little bit more further along, basically, than what Tieno Barry is.
Yeah,
and I think he costs like an extra 5-10 million more. That's what I would have gone for.
So he's at Strasbourg.
Strasbourg, but he's I think he signed a deal to go to Chelsea because they've got that Blue Co connection. Tieno Barry was my 3rd choice. And while I think he's still a decent player, he was doing decent in the Liga. He's adapted really well. And I do think he'll adapt with us. He was my last choice. Main reason being, he's the one who's most similar to Beto. Beto is much more physical, okay, much more chaotic. Tieno Barry has got a decent touch. I mean, he will grow into it once he's used to the physicality and the speed of the league. But they take up the same positions, and that was my major issue. Is you're swapping at this moment in time, like for like. Barry's still got work to do on his touch, but his first touch, his ability on the ball is a lot better than Beto's. 100%. He's got a lot more control, but he still needs to warm to the league. He's not as further along as the other 2, and he also takes up the same positions. He's similar, not the same striker, but he's very, very similar. I would have liked us to get someone who's a bit more comfortable in the ball, much more assured. Maybe even someone who's absolutely rapid and a little bit smaller to offer the difference. So,
I feel like we needed that 3rd striker to be an out-and-out pace merchant who can finish. Doesn't need to be strong, doesn't need to be a dribbler, just has to have that raw pace and can finish. At the moment, it's too like for like, too similar. And that's why there's been calls for Njai to go into the striker position. and for Tyler Dibbling to go on the right, maybe Carlos Alcaraz to come in as the 10. And could that present an option there with the 4 fluid players, Alcaraz, Ndiaye, Dibbling, and Grealish behind 2 defensive midfielders? And actually, in that formation, Corey, let the fucking fullbacks get forward, because why have we got effectively six defenders?
Yeah,
that's why we can't score.
So to get to 2 points there, the defenders and the strikers. So Iliman Ndiaye, I personally think he can play as the main man up front. He would have to be fluid. He would have to have attacking players. If the wingers, Grealish and whoever plays on the right, would have to be very attacking, because they would have to be able to overlap. Because he'll get the ball, he will try and play on the shoulder, but he will want the ball to feet. When that happens, you need players who are playing out wide, who are going to overlap him, pass on, and then you can play that ball through to him or give him the extra bit of space. I don't think Moyes will play that, by the way, but I definitely think it's a possibility. We just need the correct wide players who are going to be direct to play either side of him. Moving to the defence, I agree that we play far too defensively. Again, 2 holding midfielders, I understand why at the start of the games, but we need to start being a bit more attacking. We don't have the fullbacks. We don't have the fullbacks to be playing more attacking. Mykolenko adds a bit more natural width, and he will go forward a little bit. He got forward quite a bit against West Ham, but Grealish didn't want to use him. He's not an attacking fullback. He's okay. He is the Ukrainian Tony Hibbert. That's literally what he is. He's the Ukrainian Tony Hibbert. Not great going forward, but he will do an okay job defensively. Yeah. He won't be at our team long term. Whether Asnu's the guy who overtakes him and goes forward, I don't know, but he won't be at the club long term. We will move on from there. We need a right back. I actually will stick up for Jacob Bryan and I think that he's done very well in the position that he's playing. It doesn't look great, but he's a centre back. He's a 6'6" centre back playing right back, and I thought he's done really well playing.
Why does he jump 1 foot taller than his height?
That is the only thing I will say is I am completely baffled that he's doing roulettes, he's doing pirouettes, he's doing all sorts of turns, step overs, and fainting past players, and yet the ball comes in and he seems to jump at a lower height than his actual height is.
I'm baffled. Yeah. The goal West Ham score, he loses the header. They run up and score. He's 6'6". He should be absolutely destroying oppositions. And you look at that from a tactical perspective. We saw it last season, getting in on that back post and scoring at Brentford. And there's been other times he scored as well. He's a monster, and he played like a schoolboy against West Ham. Fearless, like a rabbit in the headlights, like a squirrel in the middle of the road. What the hell's going on with him? Because that was so poor. And the back pass.
Yeah, the header. Do you know what? I just think he needs more aggression. I think that's what it is. I think, and this is where it's difficult, he needs time at centre-back, but we can't give him time at centre-back because it's such a dangerous position to play, especially when you got Tarkowski, although he's not playing well, is very aggressive. And Keane, who we've all probably got similar opinions on Keane historically, he's been very assured, and he's been way more. I've always said about Michael Keane, his issue is he's lacked a lot of confidence. He's always looked shy. He's always looked nervous. A lot of footballers are very egotistical and I'm the big I am, and they believe in themselves 100%. Michael Keane isn't that kind of guy. He sees me as a bit of an introvert, whatever. And it seems to me that he just doesn't have that self-assurance. And that's where he loses that 1%, that 2%, which puts him in the wrong position to score goals and gets beat. He's shown that a lot this season, where he's a lot more assured. He's not as nervous. He's confident going in for everything. Jacob Bryan at right back, not to the same extent as Michael Keane. He's not calamitous, but I think he's just missing that bit of grit. Whether he's got by on it on his size alone and playing abroad is a different matter. And maybe he becomes so used to that, but he needs to be much more aggressive. I think he'll only get that by playing centre back, which he'll only get playing in cup games and stuff like that. But while we've got a right back, we've not got a right back, he's going to play that position. But we do need to make him more aggressive, because next season, ideally, he should be coming in for James Tarkowski next season.
Very quickly then, Robbie, follow Everton contributor, Robbie saying, what about a striker coach? He's talking about Duncan Ferguson, I believe. Do you think we need someone who can work with the strikers? Or, I mean, for me, I'm just also thinking, technically, you can see they're not there. How much can a striker coach improve someone's technique? And secondly, we've discussed the strikers are isolated. We've scored goals. The goal we scored, Michael Keane, we got 6 people in the box. So Keane is like going to dominate early because He doesn't have 15 players to fend off. How much is it tactical, and how much can a striker coach improve?
So I do think the striker coach can improve, especially Tieno Barry, because for him it's going to be at a young age, getting into them positions, the physicality of the Premier League. Someone like Duncan Ferguson is going to teach him how to be very, very physical without going too far. Ironic for Big Dunk, I know, but he will get in this position. This is how you be physical. This is the position you need to be. This is how you're going to play off the defenders in the Premier League. He will be able to teach Tieno Barry that. Beto less so, because his is more about his technical ability. I actually see Beto getting in the right position most of the time. It is just his technical ability. But I am going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say this. I think Beto was hard done by Moyes in the derby. He got took off at half time and he didn't look great. And especially with Beto, when he's bad, he looks really bad. The optics are really bad with Beto because he doesn't keep the ball. And his thing isn't that he's not good on the ball, but he'll still get you goals because he is that raw. He still can score goals against the Red Shite. It's not past the watershed yet, I'm sorry. But against the Red Shite, against them lot across the park, we played far too defensive. The issue was the tactics in that first half. At the end of the first half, we started playing well, and Beto was getting on the ball and driving forward a little bit. We started looking decent, and he took Beto off at half time. I think if he keeps Beto on there, he still gives him a bit more of a torrid time. He's not great. And it might be a little bit of bias here because I've stuck by him, but I still believe, and I said this before the season started, I'll say it now, if you give him the right kind of service and you don't rely on him to be a playmaking fullback, playmaking striker, he will get you goals. You need to play him on the line. You need to play him in the right way. You don't need to change your full game around him, but just passing the ball around Dewsbury Hall, Grealish, no one else support him in the box isn't going to help him. I genuinely think that, we can improve the strikers. He's not the long-term fix. Tieno Barry could grow into that role, but we're not helping him at all. We are not helping him.
I agree with you. I don't know about Barry. I can't say that I watched him. I don't know what he's good at. I'm going to take your word that he will come good, and I trust you, Corey, and I just feel like he's not a player that wants to stand up against the centre-back. I think he needs to peel off, drift wide, drag players around. You saw Pivotal in the home games we did win. Home game we won. Drifting wide, linking the play. Instead of standing like a target man, and this all comes from Moyes, can he get between the centre-backs? Can he drop between the lines? Can someone go beyond him? Can he drift wide? Can he do more for Barry? For Beto, it's very clear. If you look at the types of goals he scores, you send him through 1v1 in behind. You play him on the shoulder. You have him dominating the 6-yard box. Why do we then start using him as this target man when he can't trap the ball that well and asking him to do things he's not comfortable with? We're not playing to their strengths in their defense. They're not getting enough chances in their defense, but also their overall play is what we're looking at. The statistics, what we're looking at is making it a hard sell. I'm going to have a look at some of these comments here before we wrap things up for this preview against Crystal Palace. Desmond is saying Moyes' tactics are outdated. I think we've highlighted in this stream quite a lot of issues, Corey, with the tactical side of things. Peter Duggan, I've seen Moyes break down his style of play. I've seen Alan Irvine coach on the training ground before. It's as modern as it gets. So Peter's completely disagreeing with Desmond. Wormy saying all that bollocks doesn't matter. We have no pace. Corey, this is a massive thing. It's a slow team, isn't it? It really is.
That's the one thing we were saying was towards the back end is we need pace in this team. I'm happy to get Dibrin. He wouldn't have been my first choice. He's a good player and he's got a high ceiling, but he wouldn't have been my first choice because we needed that pace. We desperately need pace out wide because what that does is it makes a backline think that, all right, I can't press as high as I can do because this fella's going to spin around me and do me. They take that step back. It gives your team an extra bit of space. If you've got people that can pass the ball around and someone that can run, you've got that second guessing in the defensive side where they can't fully commit to defending deep because everyone's got pace but no ability, and they can't commit to pressing high because you can pass the ball about but you've got no pace in behind. You need to create that indecision. You need a mix. Whether it's a player that's going to come off the bench, you look at Fulham, they've got a Adama Traore. He's not got great technical ability. He's all right dribbling the ball, but his thing is he's strong and he's rapid. As soon as he comes on, even though he's not very good, all teams have to think twice and go, what are we going to do now? We have to change just to accommodate him a little bit. That's what we're missing, someone like that. That's why I think one transfer we were missing in the summer was someone who could play Doesn't have to be world-class specialist at any position, but somebody who can play left, right, and up front, on the wing and up top, and you've got pace. The best example of that is Amina Mora at Wolfsburg, an Algerian striker. Can play out wide, can play up front. Marmouche would have been the best example of that because he's exceptional, but he's at City, so that just sounds like I'm being silly. But Amina Mora is probably going to be the best example of that. Ben Doak, who was obviously at the other lot, moved to Bournemouth in the summer. He's not had a game for him yet, so it could be a physical thing, but he's rapid. Mainly plays on the right. He's had injury issues, so I understand why anyone, myself included, would have been apprehensive at the price they've been asking for, but he's also rapid. Plays on both sides. Could he play up front? Maybe not, but you can still spearhead him, and you just make a back line think twice about what they're going to do. It's all about marginal gains. It's all about the 1% difference that you get from Keane with his confidence. That 1-2 couple extra percent that you get from defenders having to think twice instead of against West Ham, where they know the ball's going down the left, pass it around, down the left ball, and they defend that every single time. They don't have to think twice about it. The easiest thing as a defensive team is knowing what your team's going to do. You just say, we've done it before. We've gone low block, know what our team's going to do. Cross it in. We've got big rocks there to head it away. We need to change things around. And the issue with Moyes isn't the tactics, because we've started most games well. The only game we've really been poor in, Leeds, yeah, I'd chuck that as a one-off. Missing players, first game of the season. Leeds were well up for it. They still weren't great going forward, but they had the intensity. Is Liverpool, and that's because you got the tactics all wrong. Apart from that, every game we've done well. We've started off all right. Again, 2 holding midfielders. He gets the foothold. Where Moyes' issue is he's not changing the game quick enough. And where he is changing the game, I feel like he's got players better. He's taking them off too quick. Barry at Wolves, I understand because he was on a yellow card. He was getting frustrated. But bringing players off so quick.
He's subbing every striker off after 45 minutes and because he's getting rage.
60, 70 minutes. Unless they have, like I said, the Barry one I understand because he was on a yellow. He was getting frustrated. Okay, you're protecting him. You're making sure you've still got a striker on the bench for the next game. I'll understand that. But taking off strikers for that, especially against Liverpool when it was, in my opinion, it was his tactics. He's taking off the wrong players. He's focusing on certain players being the issue when it's more of it's a tactical thing. It's a shape thing as opposed to the individual players.
I'm going to say we haven't got a lot of time. I've got to drive to Windermere. The long ball isn't working. Okay. The long ball to the strikers, the long ball out wide, it's not working. Okay. The players we've got suit the ball going on the floor to the wingers wide, to cross it in, to pull it back, to get to the byline. Grealish can cross with his left foot. He can cut inside on his right. I want to see him shoot more against Crystal Palace. I think Dibbling comes in on the right and Ndiaye goes into the middle, but he won't do that. He'll put Alcaraz in, straight swap, won't alter as anything else. It'll just be that. Alcaraz and Beto, Grealish still on the left and Ndiaye on the right, the 2 holding midfielders. The problem then with the fullbacks, you're basically playing 6 defensive-minded players. You're not getting enough bodies in the box. It will be very easy for the 3 centre-backs of Crystal Palace to deal with. You've got to play to Beto's strengths, which may be slipping him in behind. If there isn't a lot of space, you can still make angled runs. Defensively, if Branthwaite's fit, he comes straight in for me on Sunday because I think you're looking at a player who is better than Michael Keane in his overall play. There's a big gulf between them. He's better than Tarkowski. He's one of the best defenders in the league. He allows you when you do need to step up because he's got the recovery pace and his distribution helps. You look at Arsenal, the reason they are so good is the 2 centre-backs play like midfielders. They can pass like midfielders, dribble like midfielders, and they win the ball back like defenders. Branthwaite is the closest thing we've got to that. And when we don't have him, we end up having to have the 2 centre-backs basically offering nothing in distribution and the central midfielders also offering not that much, really.
Yeah, he drives forward. There's a couple of things with Idrissa. He's faster, allows you to play a high line. Ultimately, he's a better defender. He's a better passer of the ball, which allows you again to break presses and counter press and get through there. And he also drives forward. When he gets that ball and he marauds forward past the halfway line, it means Mikalenko's further up, which means the left midfielder can cut in, which means you're on their front foot even more so. So I think that's a massive, massive part of why Branthwaite comes straight in the team. The bigger question is, I'd start Tarkowski and Branthwaite if they're both fit. I don't think Branthwaite will. I think we'll wait till after the international break. But I think if you play, Branthwaite comes in, he plays straight away, you bring Tarkowski in. If things don't improve, the question is, does Keane come in for Tarkowski? So I think Keane's been better than Tarkowski, and they play a similar role. So maybe he will gel better with Branthwaite.
I don't think Tarkowski's droppable. That's the problem.
No, I don't personally. He's the captain. He sets an example. He loses his head sometimes, to be fair. But I think Tarkowski and Branthwaite both come in as centre backs, and I think logically, especially in the manager's mind, optics, psychology, whatever, you don't drop Tarkowski. But if I was thinking of who I'm bringing in, Branthwaite comes in regardless. He affects the balance of the squad, makes us more attacking, makes us much better as a team, despite how good Keane's played. If Tarkowski doesn't improve, because I don't think he's been great with Branthwaite back, I think if that's the case, that's the only question is, does Keane take Tarkowski's place? I don't think he does, but that'd be the only question. Not Keane versus Branthwaite, it's Keane versus Tarkowski.
I think the safest thing to do will be Alcaraz in and Branthwaite in, and I think that's all we'll see on Sunday. And I think he'll do that because it will keep his continuity.
Apparently, Branthwaite's going to be kept after the international break. That's what I've heard.
Oh.
So apparently he's training with the group, but he's not fit enough to start a game.
Another wooden performance incoming.
They'll just give him another 2 weeks to get fitter so he doesn't come in and go straight back out. So I think that's what I've heard. I think that's what's probably going to happen. The big question, like you said, is the number 10 role. Who replaces Dewsbury Hall? I think it'll probably be Alcaraz coming straight in. I think another option though would be, and this is the one I'd like to see more. No offense to Alcaraz, because I actually like him, but I'd like to see Grealish, Ndiaye, and Diblin, just for balance reasons, and bringing Ndiaye further in, whether it's left or to the centre. That's what I'd personally like to see. But another thing, whether it's late on in the game, I would genuinely, if I was Moyes and was still not scored a goal, depending on how the game looks, I would generally think about putting Barry on the right.
What about McNeil?
No, I think he leaves us. If he doesn't leave us in January, he leaves us in the summer. Moyes doesn't like him as much. Look, Moyes come in, he was injured. When he did come in, Moyes brought him in. I think he got 1, maybe 2 goal involvements, which isn't bad. But Moyes clearly doesn't fancy him.
What about him in the 10? For his long shots, when Grealish pulls them back?
Alcaraz is the much better player. Alcaraz has scored a couple of long shots as well. He's not got a thunderbolt of a left foot. But but Alcaraz has scored long-range efforts as well. He's a much better player. He's 2-footed. I thought it was ridiculous that Moyes took him off against Wolves because although we were rubbish, he was the best of a bad bunch. And the fact he brought Dewsbury Hall on then made sure we weren't very attacking. So I think he's been hard done by Alcaraz. I understand him playing number 10. I just want to see Grealish and Alcaraz closer together. I want to see Ndiaye and Grealish closer together, and I want to see Ndiaye away from that right-hand side where he's more effective.
The spaces are too big. The spaces are too big between all the forwards. The strikers are isolated. The midfielders aren't covering the ground. The fullbacks are neither here nor there. There's a lot of food for thought. There's a lot of tactical discussion, a lot of potentials. The squad is there. There are some players who can come in and make things happen and change it. Let's see whether Moyes earns his coin. We've got to win on Saturday. I'm going to go for a narrow 1-0 win against Crystal Palace. Corey, can I get your prediction before I wrap this up?
I think 0-0. Just to give you a heads up. So we prefer to have less of the ball. I'm going to make this as quick as possible. We prefer to have less of the ball. Only once have we had... I think we've had more possession than the opposition once. The closer we are to 50, the more we lose and draw. Villa, we could not beat them. So us playing with a counter-attacking team, mid-press counter-attacking team, our 2 wins have come in 41 and 42% possession. Palace, 42% possession against Forest was a draw. Villa was a win. And West Ham was a win as well. Chelsea and Liverpool, which they got results out of them, 28%, even less possession. The only game where they had more than half of the ball was Sunderland. It's going to be a game of who blinks first, similar to Forest under Dyche when we blinked first, and Forest got the win against us. I think it'll be 0-0. I think it'll be cagey affair. No one wants to let it in. Our 2 clean sheets this season have come at home. Palace's 3 clean sheets, 2 of them have come away. So statistically, I put your money on a 0-0.
But we got to start scoring goals, and that would not be an acceptable result, Corey, or would it? If we're third in the league, if they're third in the league,
0-0 against Palace isn't unacceptable. 2 points against West Ham and Palace is unacceptable. Does that make sense?
I think if we don't win, the start of the season has been very poor.
I think at the moment we're a C. If you're doing like it's school grades, A to F, with a C.
Yeah, got knocked out of Carabao.
Well, I'm talking purely league. I'm talking purely league at this point. I think it's a C.
Okay.
I mean, look,
C minus.
Yeah, you know what? I'd accept a C minus as well. If we lose to Palace, it's a D. If we don't beat Palace, for me, it's a C minus. But for now, it's a C. We're in 9th. Yeah, we play Liverpool. We played well against Liverpool for most parts. But Moyes himself threw it away in that first 20 minutes. Villa, we've done okay.
Fixtures, Corey. We've played shit teams. We've still got to play all of the best teams. We've only played Liverpool.
But Leeds away, not a great team. But when that was announced, you knew it was going to be difficult because that's what's going to happen. Everyone's going to be up. Everyone's going to be buzzing for Leeds to get a scalp on their first game back. It's Ellen Road, late night game.
Well, we should have played. We should have got nasty, and we didn't. We didn't get nasty. We didn't play aggressive. We didn't fight fire with fire. We sat back and let them do what they want.
We were so poor in that game, yeah, and I think things have changed since then. But it's a poor result. We should have got at least a point out of it. I'd have been happy with a point. I wanted to win. But thinking of the context of it, I can understand. It wasn't a great result, but just trying to take the context into it. Wolves, we were the much better side. We nearly threw it away by being silly, but we were the much better side. Brighton, I don't think they were the better side in all. I think a draw is round about the correct results. They didn't take their chances. If they'd have put the game to bed in the first half, we'd have been done. But they didn't. Yeah. But on the balance of the game, we were fine. Same with West Ham. If we'd have put our chances away against West Ham, if we'd have been more clinical or done something in the box, we'd have battered West Ham. But we didn't. So on the balance of the game,
not seen us win a game yet.
Like actual win a game. I think Wolves we won the game. Definitely. We just nearly threw it away. You've not actually seen it in person.
I went to the 4 non-wins, 2 defeats, 2 draws.
Are you going on Sunday?
Should I?
No, because I'm going and I want to see a win. Stay away.
David said as we were walking up to the ground, he said, "Well, if Ryan's here, we won't win." And I'm missing Newcastle and Spurs, so we'll probably get a result against Newcastle and Spurs.
I think we get draws out of both of them. I think Spurs both teams can be beaten, but
are we an away team, Corey?
We're a counter-attacking team. We're not a sit deep counter-attacking team. We should be a mid-block counter-attacking team, yeah? Especially when Branthwaite's in, push a little bit higher. Mid-block, once a team crosses the halfway line.
We've been playing a very high line in all of our games.
We have, and when Branthwaite's back, it'll be better. I'm certain of that. Once we've got a right back who's an actual right back, we'll be even better than that. Again, O'Brien's done well.
We've played a high line, but the problem is, Corey, and again, we're extending the show unnecessarily, really, but we haven't pressed very well. No, in any of the games. The pressing is gone. The high line remains.
And that's the issue. Like I said, I think we should be a medium pressing team. Ball comes close to the centre circle, halfway line. That's when you put the pressure on. That's when Beto's best because he's got the pace. We can still counter attack. We can still hold the ball up when we need to and try and work it. But our whole thing should, as soon as that ball crosses the halfway line, we press. Once Branthwaite's in, we can play the high line even more so. We'll be more aggressive. I think he's keeping the defensive line deep just in case. But teams pass through our defensive line because they're not fast. Gay, brilliant defensive player, but he's getting old now. I think we're going to phase him out this season. Jimmy Garnett, I think, has been brilliant. I think he's been our player of the season so far, in my personal opinion. But you can still play through the lines. We've not got the pace. We've not got the legs for it.
I think we do better when teams press us and we have more space to build from deeper. Play through a bigger pitch and isolate Grealish and Njai 1v1. I don't think we do well when we play the high line and we're trying to build from the back and there's no movement. One striker up front, wingers are too wide, and there's no one running from midfield. So there's so many problems, Corey. We can sit all night. Have you got any closing thoughts on? No, because genuinely, the more we talk, the more we realize different things, and I think we've both got a good tactical eye of what we're seeing. A spade is a spade. We both can understand. And we're both trying to work out a solution. I think the big thing for me against Palace, I want to see more players in the box. I want to see more crosses into the box. I want to see Grealish shoot more. I don't know, mate.
My closing thoughts that is basically for this game, the game so far that we've been disappointed, the frustrating week we've had is Moyes needs to. I think he sets up okay, but Moyes needs to change the game earlier. He needs to see it. He needs to be more positive. And he needs to use more
going wrong, which it won't.
No, even when it's going right, sometimes, like I said, when we were playing West Ham, it wasn't going wrong. We were doing much better than them. This is before the turn, but Grealish is just drifting in. That right hand side was just completely empty. Just O'Brien, he got isolated. You can see it before it starts to completely go wrong, you need to preempt it. At that point, 10 minutes before Njai come off and they started attacking, Dibblin should have come on. He added more natural width, and he still attacked because he had the confidence, but it got less and less because Diblin's there. He adds the support for O'Brien, and when they attack, he's out wide. He's naturally going to stick out wide because that's his position, even though he's left-footed. So
let's get Dibbling on the right and Jai on the left and Grealish in the 10. And if it's not working at half-time, I'll throw
or Grealish and Ndiaye swap him around. I prefer Ndiaye on the left, Grealish in the centre. But if he's so obsessed with Grealish playing left, Ndiaye in the centre, because when Grealish comes in central, Ndiaye will go wide. Or when he comes in central and Mikalenko goes forward, Ndiaye's going to add to that second striker.
But then where do you play Dewsbury Hall when he comes back, mate? Let's just see what happens now.
Number eight. Number eight. Or not from the start of the game. He can still have it. I keep saying it. He can still have his two holding midfielders. You can have Gay. You can have Garner.
But you need someone with legs alongside him then.
But you get the foothold in the game, a bit more defensive and more seceding than what he is because he's pragmatic. If he wants them two holding players at the start of the game, that's fine. But 50, 60 minutes, if it's not working, take Idrissa off. Put Dewsbury Hall in. He's got legs. He can run around. He can play anywhere in that midfield line. He can even play left midfield. He's not great at it, but he can play there. He's versatile. He's got legs. Yeah. He can play anywhere. Have your number 10, attacking the striker, supporting him, attack the back line. There you go. Don't keep doing everything the same way we've always done.
Let's start pressing. Let's start shooting. Grealish shoot more. Play to Beto's strengths. And let's go and win. Corey, lovely to chat. I've got to go and get ready. Drive to Windermere. I've got a wedding tomorrow, so it's getting late. And,
sorry for keeping you, mate.
No, no such thing. It was me waffling on as well. See you later.
If you are there, I'll see you on Sunday. I will say hello. Peace.
I am, so you're probably not better going.
I've already paid Steve, you know. I'm going.
Touting. See you later.